Self-discipline is something that you acquire in the first 7 years of your life. But that doesn't mean that you can't start making changes to your life to acquire more self-discipline. You see, I'm doing this video simply because social media has killed our self-discipline. And I have a solid point with this. You see, everywhere we turn, we have instant gratification. If we want something, we go on Amazon Prime and we have it within 2 days. If we want to feel good about ourselves, we're usually just a post on Instagram away from a bunch of likes. They're going to help our validation and help us feel good about ourselves. The simple point is that we're moving at warp speed when it comes down to how we are satisfied. And therefore, it's killing our self-discipline. You see, that self-discipline, that perseverance, that grit, that truly is the ability, and was the ability, to be able to acquire success in the long term. If we're always focused on the short term and the instant gratification, we really have the blinders on to what we can do with long-term success and actually attain wealth and actually attain the health that we want to have. So in this video, I want to give you a few things that I do and a few things that I've researched that really help you understand what you can do to acquire more self-discipline. And the first thing that you have to do is accept the fact that maybe you're not super disciplined, because in order to change, you have to accept that something needs to occur. So the first thing that I want to talk about is not waiting for it to feel right. Now I'm going to circle back to this a couple times in this video, but what I mean by that is taking action. See, action precedes motivation. The brain works in a really interesting way. Once you're motivated and once you're moving, things start to happen. And this isn't just hearsay, this isn't just me telling you some fluff. This is literally how the brain works. You see, when we get down to habit, we have something in the brain that's called the basal ganglia. That's the portion of the brain that stores our habits. It allows us to have sort of this automatic response that just defaults to that area of the brain whenever we're doing anything. Things like driving, things like talking, things like really even our thought patterns and how we think about things when it comes down to life. Well, that basal ganglia is great, but it's there to help us go through life in an easier way. It's not there to help us think outside the box. So here's the thing. You see, humans are equipped with a prefrontal cortex. This is an awesome part of the brain that's involved in decision making, and it's how we've evolved to become essentially creatures that can truly have cognitive thought and manifest things into existence. The prefrontal cortex is not a big part of our brain right now, so it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel difficult any time that we need to activate the prefrontal cortex. It's going to feel uncomfortable, and that literally is how it feels for people. You see, we have this habit loop. It's literally called the habit loop, and it's where things that we process from the prefrontal cortex for efficiency's sake are put into the basal ganglia to make sure that we just access them immediately and don't have to use the energy involved to activate the prefrontal cortex. That means you have to be someone that is comfortable with it not feeling right. And I know this sounds cliche to step outside of your comfort zone and all of that, but I mean literally how it feels, how it mentally feels to think about something that might be a little bit more uncomfortable. But I promise you, after you do it 2 or 3 times, that gets stored in the basal ganglia, and suddenly things start to work a little bit easier for you, and you never look back. The next thing I want to talk about is letting your goal become an intention rather than just a written, boring goal. Any success coach that you look at out there in the internet or out there in the world is generally going to tell you that you need to write down your goals. And that is all fine and dandy, and I understand the premise of that. Okay? You're putting something tangible there. You're putting it in writing. You're crystallizing it, and that's important. But if you don't make it your actual identity and you don't make it your intention of what you want to accomplish every single day, then it holds no merit. Then it just serves as something that you will try to achieve no matter what. You'll go through any means necessary to reach that goal, whether it changes who you are as a person or not. And that's not the ultimate goal here. We're trying to be the best people that we can possibly be. And when I say let it become your identity, I mean that with physiology in mind. You see, the brain doesn't have the ability to differentiate between what a want is and what an actual possession is. For example, if you want a Ferrari, or you actually have a Ferrari, if you truly let that manifest in yourself quite a bit, your brain isn't going to be able to differentiate between whether it's a want or an actual have or a possession. This means that you end up with an identity crisis if you don't ultimately end up with that material possession. That is truly letting a goal become who you are. So if your brain has now recognized that you have a Ferrari simply because you want that Ferrari, and then eventually you don't have that physical possession, you have a disconnect in your brain that can make you very, very unhappy. So there's something that's extremely important when it comes down to goal setting and actually allowing it to become an intention. It needs to align with your values. You cannot go and just desire something because it's cool if it doesn't align with your values. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to run into an identity crisis that is not a healthy one. It's going to send you into a spiral. It's going to make you feel like crap about yourself because you're not achieving what you wanted to achieve. The next one I want to talk about is becoming a why fairy instead of an idea fairy. And this might sound a little weird, a little bit kooky, but it's something that I coined and I've made up with my own business partners. You see, an idea fairy is someone that always has ideas but can never execute on them. And it's very, very common when you're in the world of entrepreneurs, when you're in the world of fitness people. It's all about people that have ideas but never take action on them. It's easy to have ideas. We almost get high on them. For example, if you're talking with your friends about this crazy business idea, oh, if we could only do this, we could make so much money. You almost get a dopamine rush out of it. You get a little bit of a surge of adrenaline that helps you feel good and feels like you have a good idea. But when you actually think about taking action and the steps that would be required and the money and the resources, the time, and the people to actually do that, it's not nearly as exciting. So I want you to start looking at your ideas from a why perspective. Stop looking at what you can do and how you do it, and focus more so on why do you want to do something, because that's how you determine if it's truly aligned with your values. If you truly want to do something because the why is present and you're thinking with the why, it's so much easier to take action and truly have success with whatever you're putting your mind to. Last but not least, and you're going to laugh at this one, is to just be dumb for a minute. Let yourself be dumb. You see, we have this inherent ability to just naturally do what's best for us. And if you just stop getting in your own way and you stop overthinking things, a lot of times you can truly have success and be a heck of a lot happier. And you're going to acquire a lot more self-discipline that way. Because remember, that self-discipline is all about feeling a little bit uncomfortable and sort of nullifying and getting numb to the fact that it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable at times. If you overthink it, you're sending too much energy to the wrong portion of your brain. So an exercise that I do is literally meditating and letting myself be dumb. I don't think about things. I try not to think from a business person's perspective. I try not to think from a social media perspective. I try to think from the most archaic, subconscious, 7-year-old way of thinking that I possibly can. Now, I'm going to sound cliche when I say this, but if you've ever talked to a 5 or 6-year-old, they usually have not a care in the world. They're usually happy, and they usually have all the self-discipline that they need to get what they want. They're stubborn, they're motivated, they know what they want, and they get it no matter what, as long as a parent isn't physically standing in their way. So if we let ourselves be dumb and we let ourselves be kids, I promise you're going to acquire a lot more self-discipline, and you might just be able to tap into that subconscious and allow yourself to be the best version of yourself. I will see you in the next video.